Welcome to a webinar about applying for digital projects for the public, a grant line offered by the Division of Public Programs at the National Endowment for the Humanities. My name is Meredith Henley, and I'm a program officer in the Division of Public Programs. Digital Projects for the Public supports projects that interpret and analyze humanities content in primarily digital platforms and formats, such as interpretive websites, mobile applications and tours, interactive touchscreens and kiosks, games, and virtual environments. The deadline for this grant program is June 14th, 2023, and applicants will be notified about their applications in December 2023. I'm going to cover a number of topics in this presentation, including a quick overview of NEH, since it's important to know your funder. Then we'll dive into the Digital Projects for the Public grant line, including funding levels and requirements for each category, and conclude with a broader overview of how to apply to NEH. The National Endowment for the Humanities is an independent federal agency. We were founded in 1965, along with the National Endowment for the Arts by an act of Congress. NEH's mission is to support high-quality projects and programs in the humanities and make the humanities available to all Americans. If you'd like to know more about the scope of programs that we fund, please visit NEH.gov. NEH supports a wide range of activities in order to make the humanities available to all Americans. It ranges from research and scholarship, to infrastructure and capacity building for organizations, to preserving and providing access to important historical and cultural collections, to encouraging curriculum and professional development for K-12 and higher education, and helping to pioneer new digital approaches to humanities scholarship and public engagement. The Digital Projects for the Public grant line is part of NEH's Division of Public Programs. And all projects that are supported by public programs must be grounded in humanities scholarship, deepen the public's understanding of significant humanities questions, feature collaboration between humanities scholars or knowledge keepers. We don't fund one-person projects, attract a wide audience or target audiences underserved by humanities programs, and encourage dialogue and an exchange of ideas. What we don't fund in public programs, and this applies to the entire agency, is we don't fund projects that advocate for a specific action, policy, or law. We want projects that engage the public with the complexities of the humanities, provide perspectives on ourselves, our histories, our cultures, and our country. And as a taxpayer agency, we cannot fund projects that work towards persuading someone of a certain point of view or a course of action. If you are thinking about applying for a digital projects for the public grant or to NEH in general, the question you need to start with is, does my project have a humanities focus? Of course, that prompts the question, well, what are the humanities? Our 1965 founding legislation has a very long definition of what the humanities are. That includes, but is not limited to, the study and interpretation of language, linguistics, literature, history, philosophy, archaeology, criticism and theory of arts. But another way to think about what the humanities are is that they provide context and perspective on an event, time, artifact, or place. They are the who, what, why, when, and how questions of how we got to be where we are today. So if you think your project has the humanities and you're interested in applying for this grant line, let's dive into what's required of the program. Again, I want to remind you that this is a program that supports interactive websites, mobile applications and tours, interactive touchscreens and kiosks, games, and virtual environments. Digital Projects for the Public has been offered for the past 8 years. In the past 5 years, the program received an average of 76 applications per year, had a 20% funding ratio, and NEH makes on average 15 awards per year in this grant line. To be eligible to apply, you need to be a U.S. nonprofit organization with 501 501c3 tax exempt status, or a public and 501c3 accredited institution of higher education. You can also be a state and local government agency or a federally recognized Native American tribal government. Individuals, foreign, and for-profit entities are not eligible to apply to this grant line. Digital Projects for the Public offers 3 levels of funding. Discovery, which is up to $30,000, supports the exploratory stages of a digital project that brings together humanities scholars, content experts, and digital media experts to determine which approaches you might take. Prototyping is available up to $100,000 and supports the creation of a proof of concept prototype, including interface design and the ways the project will convey the central humanities ideas. Production is up to $400,000 and supports the creation and distribution of the digital project, and it requires a prototype and a design document. Even though this is Digital Projects for the Public and digital is in the name of the grant line, at every funding level, we expect you to integrate content expertise into the design process. The humanities and the design have to be paired together. Let's dive into the different funding levels. Discovery grants are the lowest level of funding that we offer, but in many ways, they may well be the most important. They are designed to fund the exploratory stages of a project, the place where a concept is introduced and then put through its paces by scholars, practitioners, and media experts. Discovery grants need to start with a subject, such as, for example, the Constitution or the Civil Rights Movement, an object, such as a book or a place or event. In each case, the grant proposal must include consultation between scholars and media producers, the refinement of humanities content, and the analysis of potential platforms for use. The deliverable for this award is a design document that charts the paths forward for this project, both intellectually and technically. The platforms, subjects, audiences, and institutions we have funded are quite diverse, but there are some commonalities in the proposals that are worth sharing. With Discovery grants, for instance, successful projects start with a subject, collection, a region, or a place. Then they build out a team of experts. Your humanities advisor should provide expertise on the topics that your project engages. Academics can find this part of the process hard at first because they aren't used to working in teams, particularly when it comes to scholarly topics. But our grants emphasize collaboration by subject matter and by media professionals. You should also create a process that allows for these expert voices to become an integral part of the design. Cast a wide net, but also know that discovery proposals aren't fishing expeditions. You should have a good grasp of your subject, or at least the people who can help you with your subject, and the platforms you might potentially want to use. You should also reach out to audiences, organizations, and networks who will be able to maximize the impact of your project and involve them early on in the process. Prototyping grants do just what their name suggests. They support the creation, testing, and evaluation of a proof of concept prototype. A discovery grant is not a prerequisite to apply for a prototype grant, but you must have a design document. We need to see what exactly you're trying to build. With a prototype grant, activities can include, along with the building of the prototype, further refinement of the humanities content, further consultation with scholars, educational and digital and media experts, scripting, user interface and back-end development, audience testing, and evaluation. As I said before, the prerequisite is a design document, and at the end of the grant period, we expect you to have a prototype for your digital project. As you work on your prototype application, here are a few tips to keep in mind. Prototyping grants are for building, testing, and evaluation. Interaction and feedback between the content experts and media team should be present at all major milestones of the prototyping period as well. It's one thing to say that a project works on a technical level. It's another entirely to say that it works on an intellectual level. We want the humanists and the media people talking to each other. Your design document also needs to be strong and display clear directions and places to focus on during the grant period, as well as articulate how humanities content will be integrated into the digital design. One word of caution, don't propose activities that go too far into production. We're not looking for you to make the digital product, but rather we want to have an idea about what it would look like if you did make the digital product. Finally, production grants, which have funding available up to $400,000, support the final stages of a project and everything that takes place between prototyping and distribution. This includes building out of the project, further testing and evaluation with audiences, scholar, outreach, programming, and distribution. By the end of the production period, the project should be finished, distributed, and out in the world. At the discovery and the prototype levels, we give you room to figure out different aspects of your project. By the time you get to production, we are expecting all aspects of your project to be nailed down. It should be, quote unquote, shovel ready. There should be no guesswork. Activities must be built upon significant testing and evaluation. You should know what works. And that knowledge should be used to inform your proposal and the goals of the grant period. And this applies to both the humanities content and the user experience. Your humanities advisors should continue to be involved in the project at this phase. You should also be very specific about your outreach and distribution plans. How will people know about or find your project? This is always a key consideration for us at the production level because there's that fear or that question that we have. If they build it, will anybody find it? And so it's important that your outreach and audience section be well developed. Prototypes submitted as samples, which is a requirement, should clearly display the project's primary humanities ideas and takeaways, as well as the features that will comprise the core of the project. Once again, the humanities content is key to getting funded. Your work sample should demonstrate how your project engages with key humanities ideas and conveys those ideas to the user. While discovery, prototyping, and production have different emphases, they do all share certain keys to success. Good projects and projects that succeed in getting funding embed humanities ideas in the project at all stages. They also assemble a strong and diverse team of scholars and content experts to serve as project advisors. They build clearly defined and scalable design, development, and learning goals. And they also know their audience, and they focus their plans for distribution to maximize the project's impact. As you work on your application, there's one question that you will want to keep in mind. What will the public learn from your project? Even though you have to make a case for a digital project, and that means partially making a case for the platform you have chosen, you have to ensure that your humanities content, the bulk of the narrative section of your application, is found in its scholarship, its themes, and its framing for the general public. I cannot stress this enough. You might have a fantastic, innovative idea for using a particular platform, but it will not get you an award on its own. Content matters here, and it relies on the team of humanities experts that you assemble. They are crucial to your success. As you work on your project or refine your application, You will want to keep in mind that a good public digital humanities project does three things. It tells stories, it creates engaging experiences and ways of interacting with the humanities, and it curates narrative pathways through content rather than just presenting collections. If after learning about digital projects for the public and what it involves, you might be thinking that it doesn't quite fit with what you want to do. But NEH does have other options for digital work in the humanities, and I want to take just a moment to point out some other resources that are available. If you send an email to the addresses listed on the screen, my colleagues in those divisions can help steer you towards a grant program that might be better suited to your emphasis or to your goals. So our Division of Education Programs supports activities such as seminars and institutes on digital practices in the humanities, or the design of undergraduate coursework in digital humanities, and also digital curriculum and professional development opportunities for K-12 and higher education faculty. Our Division of Research Programs offers funding for collaborative research projects that incorporate digital methodologies and have outcomes such as born digital publications. The Division of Preservation and Access supports digital approaches that ensure long-term and wide availability of artifacts and collections, also protect them against environmental, material, and technological challenges. Our Office of Digital Humanities supports teams of scholars experimenting with digital technologies to develop new methodologies for research, teaching and learning, public engagement, and scholarly communications. This includes the study of digital culture from a humanistic perspective and the creation of digital publications. Our Office of Challenge Grants provides matching funds intended to stimulate additional private, state, and local support for humanities infrastructure.
In the last part of this webinar, I'd like to talk about the nuts and bolts of applying for a Digital Projects for the Public grant. Every grant program offered by NEH has a program resource page. The URL for Digital Projects for the Public is on the screen right now. Once you're on the program resource page, there is a summary of the grant line at the top, along with the deadline for the current year. But you're going to want to scroll down because that's where all of the resources are, including application materials, frequently asked questions, lists of recently funded projects, and sample application narratives. All of these can help you craft your application. If you haven't applied to NEH or another government agency, you'll want to take note that the guidelines for applying to the program go by the very formal name, Notice of Funding Opportunity. And on the program resource page, there's a link to these guidelines and also to the application package that you will need to use to apply through grants.gov. The guidelines go over all the materials necessary to apply for the program and also how to submit your application on grants.gov.
In the guidelines, I want to draw your attention to a part that applicants frequently overlook. Every guideline lists the criteria that will be used to evaluate your application. The application criteria for digital projects for the public is currently on screen. It includes humanities content, creative approach and technical design, project personnel, project feasibility, and audience reach. Keep these in mind as you work on your application. Make sure that reviewers will be able to find the information about each item on the list and have positive things to say. Applicants often find the narrative portion of the application to be a challenge because in 15 pages, we ask you to provide a lot of information about your project, its humanities content, the platform you are considering using, the approaches that you're taking, your team, your audience. But to help you with that, on the program resource page, there are sample narratives. These are not intended to be all-encompassing, but provide a range of approaches to crafting a successful narrative. As you read them, don't focus on the topic, but rather step back and look at how the narratives do the following. How do they describe the humanities content and how the project will engage it? How do they provide details for the chosen platform? How do they describe their audience and plans for distribution? How do they signpost key points to make it easy for reviewers to find important information? As you begin to work on your application for digital projects for the public, we have a few more application tips. First off, read the Notice of Funding Opportunity. We are very explicit about the kinds of information that we want, what we expect from a project, and how your application will be evaluated. Secondly, make sure you are registered with grants.gov, sam.gov, and are ready to apply well before the deadline. It can take weeks between the time you register and your account is ready. As you work on your application, pay special attention to the way that each required section of the proposal is matched to specific review criteria. In fact, there's even a chart in the NOFO which matches up criteria with different parts of the application. Fourth, know your audience and your funder. High quality humanities content is at the core of what we fund. An application that does not have significant humanities content will not be competitive. Fifth, read the sample proposals. Get an idea about what we expect from an application and the ways in which other successful applicants have talked about their project. Finally, and most importantly, if you have any questions, please reach out to Public Programs. We're happy to discuss your application with you. If you send an email to the address on screen, someone will contact you. And I will also have a slide at the end with that address repeated. I wanted to finish out with just a quick overview of how your application is evaluated at NEH once you submit it. NEH assembles peer review panels to evaluate applications. Knowledgeable persons outside NEH read applications and advise the agency about their merits. From there, NEH staff makes recommendations for funding based upon the evaluator's reviews and comments. Those recommendations go to the National Council on the Humanities, which comprises 26 individuals nominated by the President and approved by the Senate. They review the recommendations, ask questions, and provide guidance to the NEH chair, who then takes into account the totality of advice provided by NEH's review process, including the advice of the reviewers, endowment staff, and the National Council. By law, the chair makes all final funding decisions. Thank you for joining us for this webinar about digital projects for the public. In closing, I would like to emphasize that if you have any questions or comments about this grant line, please get in touch with us. NEH prides itself on the accessibility and availability of its staff. It's as easy as sending an email to the address that you see on screen. Put simply, we are here to help. Whether it's questions about the grant line or eligibility of your project or organization, please do reach out to us if you need anything. Good luck with your application, and we look forward to seeing what you will do with our grant line.